For today's adventure, John and I are at Washington Oaks Garden State Park in Palm Coast, Florida. And we are getting ready to hike the Bella Vista Trail. A little history about Washington Oaks. The land was part of the Bella Vista Plantation, once owned by General Joseph Hernandez. He was a Floridian of Minorcan descent. Hernandez was a militia general who commanded troops in this part of Florida during the Second Seminole War. A surveyor named George Washington, a relative of the first president of the United States, married Hernandez's daughter in 1845. Much of what we see in the park today was left by Mr. Owen D. Young and his wife Louise. Mr. Young bought the property in 1937, and they enjoyed it for many years as a winter retreat. Mr. Young helped found the RCA Corporation and became chairman of the board of the General Electric Company. Mrs. Young donated the property to the state of Florida in 1964 following the death of her husband. Washington Oaks Garden State Park is nestled between the Atlantic Ocean and the Matanzas River. And even though it's known for its formal gardens, it's also famous for the shoreline of Coquina Rock formations that line the Atlantic beach. So we're pretty excited to see that today. And we are listening to what sounds like a bunch of woodpeckers in this area. Oh yeah, there's lots of birds. I hear the woodpeckers. You see them? Oh, I see them. Extending from the Atlantic Ocean to the Matanzas River, Washington Oaks Garden State Park preserves 425 acres of Florida's original coastal scenery. That is a big tree. That's a pine tree? Yeah. That is a huge pine tree. A lot of birds, huh? John and I are hiking the Bella Vista Trail here at Washington Oaks Gardens State Park. This trail, I believe, is about 2.2 miles. I see lots of magnolia trees up in this area. All over up here in northern Florida. That's a huge magnolia tree. You know, they don't grow very fast. So, that's got to be a pretty old tree. Yeah, old, I think it was an old, like, gate. Yeah. John and I have now entered the gardens part of Washington Oaks Garden State Park. And the azaleas are in bloom. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. This restored greenhouse was originally erected in the late 1940s from a prefabricated kit purchased from the National Greenhouse Company. The greenhouse sheltered Louise P. Young's treasured orchids. Potted orchids in blooms were brought into the Young's home for interior decoration, and many others were gifted to friends. The greenhouse was restored in 2011 by the Florida Park Service and the Friends of Washington Oaks. This Riverside Cottage was the winter home of O&D and Louise P. Young. The Young's primary residence was in Van Hornsville, New York. After much consideration, the Youngs decided to build their Washington Oaks home on the raised bank along the Matanzas River rather than beachside on the Atlantic Ocean. They preferred the protection of the oak hammock forest and the beautiful vistas of the river and marshes at sunset. The Youngs received many guests, including national and state dignitaries, and enjoyed entertaining on the porches shaded by the majestic oaks. Beneath the water surface, you'll find a wondrous diversity of life. Florida coastal marine habitats are home to many fish species and invertebrates such as shrimp, crabs, and oysters. Submerged seagrass beds provide important feeding grounds, nurseries, and shelters from predators. Look for seagulls, pelicans, and other birds as they scan the water looking for a quick meal. So here out in the Matanzas River, you can see blue crab, bottlenose dolphins, stingray, mangrove snapper, oyster, red drum, and West Indian manatee. This is salt water because we have the Atlantic Ocean just to the east of here. In 1845, the original landowner, Joseph Hernandez, his daughter, Louisa, married George Lawrence Washington, a distant relative of the first president of the United States. George practiced law and resided with Louisa and their family in St. Augustine. In the 1870s, George acquired some of the land from the Hernandez estate and constructed a hunting and fishing lodge, dug 2 artesian wells, planted citrus groves, and built a dock on the river. The citrus crop was transported to St. Augustine by sailboat for distribution. George Washington's lodge overlooked the Matanzas River at this very site. And this must be the site of one of the artesian wells. So here we have a nice playground area, picnic area as well, restrooms, very shaded picnic area. Citrus is one of Florida's most revered symbols, but few people realize that St. Augustine was the birthplace of the nation's citrus industry. Here at Washington Oaks, orange groves have been established since the late 1700s. The Youngs acquired the property in 1936. O&D and Louise Young cultivated groves of oranges, grapefruits, lemons, and limes. The citrus was harvested and marketed in St. Augustine, enjoyed by family and friends, and given to local hospitals. Mr. Young sold citrus and other estate produce from a stand in front of his office. Directly across the street from Washington Oaks Garden State Park's main entrance is the Atlantic side of the park. So where we were just at was the where the hiking trails and the gardens are along the Matanzas River. And now we're going to see the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so here's one of my least favorite things on the Atlantic side. I mean, you have them on the Gulf side too, but they seem to be more abundant on the east side, on the Atlantic side, and that is a jellyfish. And here is Coquina Rock. And what this is sediment and shells and everything that gets fused together and forms Coquina Rock. There's not too many places in Florida that you will see formations like this. Sometimes you can find crabs and all sorts of little creatures living in the rock. How far down the beach do you think that is? That this goes? A mile? This is pretty cool. I've never seen this like this. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed learning a little about Washington Oaks Garden State Park here in Palm Coast, Florida. To follow our journey through Florida, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on the web at theviewfromflorida.com. And we also have a Facebook group where you can interact with us and interact with other Florida lovers. It's the View from Florida Facebook groups. And we hope you will join us there as well. And until next time, traveling is always better when shared, and thank you for letting us share part of our journey with you.